All right, let's talk about a leadership style that, almost always starts with the best intentions, but can end up quietly wrecking a team from the inside out. We're going to dive deep into conquering micromanagement. So let's just start with a really direct question, and I want you to be honest with yourself here. Are you accidentally a micromanager? It's a tough one, right? Because most people who are, they have no idea. In fact, it almost always comes from a really good place. And that's what brings us to our first section, the control trap. We're going to really try to get inside the psychology of this behavior to understand the why that's driving the what. Okay, so first things first, let's get on the same page. What even is micromanagement? Well, it's a leadership style where you're constantly, and I mean constantly, observing and controlling your team's work. And here's the real kicker. It pretty much always destroys trust and suffocates the very creativity you probably hired them for in the first place. This right here is the central paradox, the huge disconnect between your intention and your actual impact. See, the intention, it's almost always good. You want excellence, you're afraid of mistakes, you want to ensure quality. But the impact, it's the complete opposite. It shatters trust, it kills new ideas, and, get this, it actually tanks the team's productivity. So that brings us to the hidden costs. Because, this isn't just about hurt feelings or bad morale. We are talking about real, measurable damage to your team and your company's bottom line. Just think about why people really quit their jobs. According to Gallup, it's not always about a bigger paycheck. A whopping 50% of employees have left a job for one reason, to get away from their manager. That means there's literally a coin flip chance your best people could walk, not for a better offer, but just for a better boss. And the manager's impact is just massive. In fact, 70%, that's 70, of the difference in a team's engagement level, their passion and their commitment, it all comes down to the manager. So if you're a leader, you're not just a part of the equation, you are the main variable. And when those great employees finally do leave, it gets expensive. And I mean fast. It's estimated that replacing a salaried employee costs the equivalent of 6 to 9 months of their salary. All of a sudden, that hands-on approach has a very, very real price tag attached to it. But the cost isn't just financial, it's psychological. All that constant correction and oversight leads to something called learned helplessness. It's where your team members just stop trying. They stop innovating, they stop bringing new ideas to the table because they've been taught that it doesn't matter. The boss is just going to change it anyway. So what does this actually look and feel like on a Tuesday afternoon? Let's make it super concrete in our next section, control versus collaboration. We're going to look at 2 meetings, 2 different ways of giving feedback, and 2 totally different outcomes. Think about your last team meeting. Was it a micromanaged one? That's where the leader does all the talking, tasks get handed down like orders, and the whole point is just compliance. Or was it a transformational meeting? That's where the leader sets a vision and then invites the team to solve the problem with them. The focus completely shifts from just doing what you're told to being genuinely committed. And you see this exact same divide when it comes to feedback. The micromanagement approach is a command. Do it exactly my way, use this template. But the empowerment approach, it sets a clear goal. Hey, the report needs these 3 things, and then it asks this incredibly powerful question, how would you like to do it? See the difference? One creates a robot, the other creates an owner. Okay, so this brings us right to the solution, the antidote to all this control. It's the power of autonomy. This is the key that's going to unlock your team's real potential. And listen, this isn't some fluffy management trend. It's baked into our psychology. There's this thing called self-determination theory, and it shows that autonomy, that feeling of having control over your own work, is a fundamental human need. It's literally the fuel for our motivation. And the proof? Oh, it's incredible. Take Google's legendary 20% time. They basically gave engineers the freedom to work on whatever they wanted for 1 day a week. And what came out of that freedom? Just, small things like Gmail and Google News. It wasn't a waste of time. It was an engine for breakthrough innovation. It's not just Google, either. Look at Atlassian's FedEx days. Teams get 1 day to build and deliver anything they want, literally overnight. The result isn't chaos. It's a huge explosion of creativity, teamwork, and motivation. Giving people control doesn't mean you lose control. It means you gain their commitment. Okay, so the theory is great, but how do we actually do this? We've seen the problem, we've seen the solution, now for the fun part, your action plan. Let's walk through 5 steps to empowerment. First, you gotta start by looking in the mirror. Step 1, do a self-awareness check. What are the fears that are driving your need to control everything? Step 2, set crystal clear expectations. Define the what, the destination, but let your team figure out the how, the route to get there. Third, and this is so important, create systems for visibility. Use tools like Asana, Monday, whatever, so you can see progress without having to ask, hey, where are we with this every 5 minutes? Fourth, build up your team's competence. The more you invest in their skills, the more confident you'll be in letting go. And finally, step 5, celebrate progress, not perfection. Start looking for what's going right instead of just what's wrong, and treat mistakes for what they are, chances to learn. Honestly, it all boils down to this one simple question you can ask yourself in the moment. Before you jump into that email thread, before you rewrite that sentence on a document, just pause and ask, am I actually adding value here? Or am I just inserting myself to feel in control? Answering that honestly, that will change everything. And so we're left with this one final thought. At the end of the day, as a leader, you have a choice to make. Do you want a team that just gives you compliance, or do you want a team that gives you their full commitment? Because the path you choose, well, that makes all the difference.